I'm Evangelist Julia Daniely, and I am an evangelist in the community in the Middle Georgia area. I happen to be an educator, but my first job and my first role is to disciple the lost. I'm from Macon County. I'm from the Eastside. That's where we are here at the Redeeming Hope Center, 404 Church Street, where I am one of the evangelists and have been tasked by my covering to build this place on the east side of town. I went to Applin Junior High. I went to Northeast High School. I graduated in 1986. So now I'm back home in my community to bring hope and light to our community. So here I am, ready to interview and ready to share my story, my journey, and what God has called me to do in this hour.
All right, Julia Daniely.
Yes.
How are you doing this evening?
I'm doing great.
It's definitely an honor and a pleasure to be here interviewing one of my former educators and community leaders, and I've been looking forward to having this conversation for a while. Glad we got the chance to do it.
Great.
Absolutely. So first and foremost, you spoke a little bit about growing up on the east side of Macon. So for the people that's especially not from Macon, how was it growing up on the east side of Macon in those 80s and 70s?
Well, one of the things is that I'm the baby of 13 children.
Right.
My mom, and being the baby, you're kind of you see your siblings grow up, and by the 6th grade, I was literally in the house by myself. So I really thought my mom and dad were my grandparents. However, my dad, he had a 3rd grade education, chef at one of the prominent restaurants here in Macon, Lindbergh's restaurant, but have a 3rd grade education. My mom, she was a maid, and she eventually in her 20s got her GED and began to work in a school as a parapro, and she worked and went back to school and got her college degree at the age of 60. So just growing up, my parents, they advocated for education. Okay, you all got to get an education, especially my dad with a 3rd grade education. He couldn't help us. He couldn't do anything but provide and instill that expectation that you're going to serve God and you're going to get your education. So we were a prominent family. Our church is in Fort Hill. My home church is in Fort Hill, and we lived in Fort Hill. But my parents, they gave back to the community. My mom, she ironed clothes. She served others. My dad, he has cooked for thousands and thousands and thousands of people. So being the baby, you looking at what your sisters and brothers did. They're all intelligent, went to college, and did all those great things. And so here I am, the baby. All the pressure. You got to go to college. You got to do all these different things. But there was something that I did not share, a struggle. And I struggled in reading. I struggled in reading and writing. And fast forward, I ended up not being proficient in reading and writing until I was 22 years old. But I knew how to play the game in school. I knew how to be good enough for the teachers to kind of, and my mom worked at the school, my dad, so people, I got, good grades. And I was good in math and science, but reading and writing was very, very difficult for me. And I avoided it at all costs. I was a cheerleader, played tennis, did all of those things. But when I graduated from high school, I was not ready for college. And so when I got to college, I went to Tuskegee my first year. Went to Tuskegee, just played, party. You know how we do, partied, stayed in Montgomery doing all kinds. They had a dog track. I was doing everything but doing my work. Had to go to learning support classes, right? Because I didn't make the score on the test to do regular classes. So you know, Tuskegee private institution is a lot of money, right? So my first year, my mama said, "You wasting my money. You coming home. You coming home." So not even understanding that how my parents had to struggle. You know, I didn't feel like we were in poverty. I didn't feel like we were poor because I never kind of wanted for anything. But my dad, he did a lot of things to provide. You know, he fed people after work hours. He played pool to, get money, whatever. His boss, his supervisor bought our first house in Fort Hill, right? And so just growing up, my neighbors raised neighbors, we looked out for each other. There was not what you see today. Families were not at odds. We were a church-going family, go to church, singing in the choir. All of us had to take piano lessons, and so that's how it was. But then when you are going through that, you have your insecurities, you have your fears, and you have your hang-ups because we all fall short. And so out of all of my mother's children, I was the one, I would talk back. I would go out there and do what I want. I would come in the house late. I would challenge the process, I wanted to, when I was in my 20s, I couldn't wait to 21 to go to the club. We started going to the club on Wednesdays. We in the club on Sundays, opening and shutting down the club, me and my girlfriends. So never thought I would be here preaching the gospel. I used to go to sleep on preachers. My mama dragged us to church all over the place. I'd be in the choir stand, be in the church, just sleep, right? And so to be where I am, I'm just so grateful. And growing up on the east side, what I can say is that the east side was pretty much a whole community. You from the east side, everybody from the east side. We didn't have anybody at odds with each other or a neighborhood going against a neighborhood and that type of thing. I do remember growing up that there was a distinct difference between the children from Fort Hill and the children from Sherling Drive. Because Sherling Drive is on down Sherling Drive, way out like you going to Millersville on that side. So, and then you had a community called Thornton Heights, which was a well-to-do kind of neighborhood. Then you had Sherling Drive. Then you had the kids from Fort Hill. So then within our school setting, you had groups from different arenas. And like on the weekend, like on Saturdays, when you go to the skating ring, then you had the group that can't go to the private school. So you had the Jack and Jill, you had the girl went to the private school. You had all those different groups mixed in with the Fort Hill children, mixed in with the Sherling children, mixed in with the other children. So it was very, very different. And in some cases there were little divisions. You knew the different children. So when people talk about, and I don't want this interview to go in the direction of racism, because I truly believe it has a spirit of division, but within our own culture I felt a sense of division.